My name is Maureen Breck. I'm the director of the Greater Binghamton Education Outreach Program, GBOP. GBOP is an affiliate organization of the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce, and I have the pleasure of being able to moderate today's Spark panel discussion. In case this is your first Spark panel, Spark is a collaboration between the Chamber, BOCES, SUNY Broome, Broome Taiga Workforce, and the Broome Life is Good campaign. And the purpose is really to help showcase all of the amazing career opportunities that we have right here in our community, and also giving you the tools to really understand the pathway, giving you that roadmap so that you can start preparing now in 8th grade so that you can be qualified and ready for these careers. And today I'm really excited because we are going to be highlighting all of the careers in manufacturing. Just some quick housekeeping. These sessions are recorded. So if for any reason you have to hop off a few minutes early, or maybe you missed one of our past sessions, you can visit sparkgreaterbinghamton.com and you'll be able to view the recordings there. Our folks over at BOCES are really quick and it's usually up within a few days after the session. Our past sessions included entrepreneurship, nursing, construction trades, dentistry, and information technology. And for our students, today is all about you. These panelists are here because they want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you have about manufacturing to really give you a true sense of what it's like to work in this field. So please use this opportunity. I want to see lots of questions coming through the Q&A feature. Don't use the chat, use the Q&A. And a special thanks to the folks who are going to help monitor that Q&A feature. Matt Sheehan, CTE Principal at BOCES, and Gina Chase, Interim Director of Career and Academic Services at SUNY Broome. They are huge partners in this and really make this event possible. So thank you guys so much for putting this together, facilitating and managing that Q&A. I also want to give a huge thanks to our sponsor, IBM, for making these sessions possible. Before we dive in, we want to make sure that part of your roadmap is giving you information to make an informed decision about your career pathway. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of occupational outlook for manufacturing. When we look regionally at the 4-county region of Broome, Shenango, Delaware, and Tioga, the average salary in manufacturing is $73,000. That's actually an increase of 2% in the past 10 years. Manufacturing makes up almost 19,000 jobs in our area. That's just over 14% of the total employment. And what really blew my mind is the variety of different jobs there are in manufacturing. And you're going to see that today too. Roughly 42% of individuals who work in manufacturing work in production, 10% work in the office and administrative support, 10% in architecture and engineering, and 7% in transportation and materials moving. There's some other, positions as well too, but those are some of the larger areas. And when we look at some of the occupations, what are the highest demand? We're looking for assemblers, line supervisors, machine operators, industrial engineers and software developers, and operation managers. So a lot of variety in this field, lots of opportunity to grow your career. The other thing I want to point out about manufacturing is that it really supports our local economy. In 2019, locally, $3.1 billion in gross domestic product were produced through manufacturing. So folks working in this industry really do support our economy. I want to let our panelists introduce themselves, but we want to do something different today. Manufacturing is a really great field and you really have an opportunity to create a product. And so for our folks in industry, when they're introducing themselves, I'm also going to ask that one of the person from each organization also talk a little bit about what it is that their organization produces. Let's start with our education partners. I'm going to turn it over to James Mordell.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Let's see, I think I can share my screen, correct? Nope, I can't share my screen. Can you please grant me permission to share?
Matt, if you are there, if there's ability to set up screen sharing. And if not, do you maybe even just starting with kind of what it is that you teach at BOCES?
Okay, well, yeah, it's still not letting me share yet. So BOCES, what we do is we have, it's all hands-on. You probably heard the term CTE constantly. It's a very hands-on Mike Rowe. Everybody knows Mike Rowe is Mike Rowe-ish type of program. And so we have a classroom, we have a shop. We have a shop behind me. We have various tools. I think I'm thinking there's a couple of people here that may already know this, but a couple of not. So we have things like a mill. We have a manual mill. We have a grinding table. We have a plasma table. We have NC, actually the plasma table's NC. We have an NC controlled router tables, 2 of them. And then behind me, we down this way past the cabinet behind me, we have an NC mill, another mill that's NC controlled, numerical controlled, and we have a lathe next to that, which is also computer controlled. We have robotics. Right now, the end of the year is kind of the fun robotics session. So the students have been programming one of our robots to do some things, some tasks, so sort things or move things around. And they've been working on that for a week or so now. So we have all those tools. It was really nice, cool tools that you would have in a, you could possibly have in a shop somewhere, in a factory. But we also, that's only part of it. We also look at how to set up a manufacturing process. The students have learned about 3 processes that are very important. One is the job process, which is we make one of something at a time. Then there's the batch process where you make duplicates, several, and the students have done job and batch. So we've just finished a job of 400 units for a customer. This is a paying customer. They came to us and wanted 400 units, and I'll show that in my presentation later. They were dividers for displays at shows where this customer displays gems and rocks that they sell. So they needed dividers for their bins so they could put more gems and rocks on the table. We also have had customers internally where we've made some prototype prosthetic devices for our laundry, for students that have limited mobility in our laundry group to do, take laundry out of a machine. We're working on another attachment for that tool that could start the machine and select the cycle. We're doing something for a nursing department right now with making some fake nurse call buttons for them because they're graded on. Part of their grade apparently is where they place these, how they place them. So we're making those. So we have, and then the students even in the beginning of the year started out by machining some offset pieces for one of the other teachers who's restoring a vintage Harley Davidson motorcycle. So the students have had lots of variety of things they've worked on. And that's what we try to do, is try to keep it fun. But the important thing is they've developed a reputation for doing great work. And that reputation is now preceding them around the area. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you, James. And our next education partner with us is SUNY Broome. And Doug, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Just to give you an idea on the manufacturing around here, we have, and I don't have a nice presentation or anything, so we just put a large new building, reconstructed building up in 2018 and started the manufacturing program up. In the manufacturing program, we have a 2-year program here that will focus predominantly on machining and CNC equipment. We have everything from basic machine shop tools all the way up through 5-axis CNCs, EDMs, automated welding-like equipment. We have a simulation on that. And tools that teach metrology and a few other items that allows us to showcase how to run a factory, and from everything from the setup in the CAM right down into the, we use Fusion 360 and Mastercam here to load the programs, show the kids how to actually engage into the process of allowing the machines to do the work through, understanding how the flow works from a designer to maybe to the machine shop and then back over to the final product and quality level structure. So they'll get the whole manufacturing process within those 2.5 years, within a 2-year program. Right now, SUNY Broome has, exited their group of people. this year's manufacturing folks, along with all the other technologies, we had, 100% placement this year, for the kids that we did have here. Of course, COVID was a really tough teaching environment for us. But the one thing we did do in all our technologies here is all our labs were on site. We managed it through with the kids. So, one of the things we enforced here was that we had to have the hands-on. So we went through the process. We changed lab times. We minimized the amount of kids in the labs. We had clean machines, but we managed through it and had no incidents. So it was an experience that I don't want to go through again, but we managed through it because that's what I learned in my 30 years in industry. Everything's changed, and you have to deal with those changes as they get thrown at you, whether it's from the management side or the financial side or whatever. It's how do you deal with going forward? And that's what we're trying to teach the kids here is these experiences that you get are not roadblocks that stop you from making something. They're just a different way of looking at things. And I think that was one of the big positives that we came out of with the COVID stuff here, is that we did manage through it. We got them through. Kids did well, and they made their projects. I know for our second year graduates, we basically made a small Stirling engine. So on the machine shops. And so that was a positive thing that allowed these folks to do things that probably they would not have been able to do if we didn't have the labs. So that was one of our positives this year.
That's awesome. Thank you both. And that's really exciting for our students to know that right here in our community, you have two programs that can prepare you for entry into these jobs. Like Doug said, 100% placement. That's amazing. So who are some of the folks you might want to consider working for? And first, going to turn it over to our Amphenol rep, Kevin. You want to introduce yourself and what does Amphenol make?
So hi, I'm Kevin Beck. I work for Amphenol Industrial Operations, and we make power connectors, cable assemblies for rail mass transit, for heavy equipment, for medical, for oil and gas, and just a whole variety of things that we manufacture. Here in our Endicott facility, we have 6 CNC machines and 8 automatic screw machines, which are an older manual machine, the production machine. And we manufacture connector components like nuts and adapters and the small contact pins that go into the connectors. If you'd like, I have a couple I could show you. So I don't know if you can see this. I can't see my screen.
Hold it up a little bit higher.
Okay, so this is a shell that will be mated, and those are electrical pins, connector pins. This is for data, and we manufacture all the component on the outside as one piece, and then we also manufacture the very small pin that goes inside. So we have Swiss type machines for that. We are also manufacturing a large, well, not too large, junction box for a customer of ours. And we machine all these holes in this box on our 5-axis mill all the way around. So then after the box is machined, it is assembled with the connectors and the terminal strips. Then we do the assembly here as well. So we have a fairly large cable assembly area and a machine shop here at Amphenol.
Thank you. Very cool to see everything how it comes together. And I'm excited. We've got some questions starting, so we'll try and get through our introductions and really turn this over to our students. We have 2 folks with us from BAE today. I'm going to turn it over to Laura and Garvin, let them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what is it that BAE makes.
Okay, so my name is Laura. I actually have a quick video, if I can share my screen and show it, and that might do the introduction for us. Mainly at Endicott, one of our large products are electronics to make buses hybrid. So we have a quick video for that. If I can just share my screen.
I don't know if in webinar week, oh, yeah.
I made it so she could. She's good to go.
Let me know if you can hear all right.
Can't hear it.
We cannot hear the sound, just so you know, Laura.
Yeah, Laura, I don't know if when you hit screen share, did you also hit share audio?
Oh, you can't hear it?
No.
No, no, we can't.
All right. I mean, that's okay. Like, there was no share audio, so I can just talk to the video. Basically, the video kind of goes through like what we build at Endicott. So, I mean, as you can see here, we build like chassis, which are basically metal boxes, kind of to what Amphenol was showing with electronic circuit cards that we build here. And there's certain combinations of them that make buses hybrid. We also have some military applications with that. So I believe Broome County has maybe a dozen or so of these hybrid buses. So if you see them with the hybrid drive, that's a BAE Systems bus driving around. And then we also have some other aerospace applications as well. That's kind of on another side of the business.
Thank you.
And I'll just add real quick. So I'm Garvey. Laura and I both work in operations here in Endicott at BAE, and we're both supervisors. So I think Maureen mentioned one of the positions that's in high demand right now are assemblers out on the floor. So that's who Laura and I supervise, folks right out on the shop floor building all of this product that we ship out. So it's fun being here every day. It's something new and exciting every day. And it's fast paced, never get bored. So it's definitely an exciting time to be in manufacturing.
Thank you. Our next organization with us is Buckingham Manufacturing. I'll turn it over to Jake and Joy.
Hi guys, I'm Jake, and Joy's on the screen as well from Buckingham. We're located in Binghamton and Kirkwood, New York, and we've been in business since 1896. We produce safety equipment for people who work in high locations. So if you've ever seen a NYSEG employee climbing an electrical pole to turn your power back on, whether they're actually climbing the pole, they're probably using our product to keep attached to the pole so they don't fall to the ground. Or if they're in one of those high buckets that you see, there's a pretty good chance they're wearing one of our harnesses, just in case they do get ejected from the bucket. We produce anything from harnesses, lanyards, all sorts of belts, climbers that would go on someone's foot to allow them to climb the pole, saddles for people who work in the arborist industry, actually, any sort of bag or accessory that they use as well. We have many operations throughout our shops, starting from cutting. We cut a lot of material to stitching. There's actually a lot of people who still stitch in the Southern Tier, and we're one of them. And assembly and inspection as well. And Joy is our fall protection shop manager.
Thank you. All right, our last organization is the Raymond Corporation. I'll turn it over to Lee and John to introduce themselves and their organization.
Great, thanks, Maureen. And welcome to all the participants. It's just great to see all the wonderful organizations in this area and the things that they do. So the Raymond Corporation, hopefully some of you have heard of the Raymond Corporation. We're the leading manufacturer of electric lift trucks in North America. So I'm going to just pick one of the models up here and show you. Yes, we make the life-sized ones. I get asked when we go to career fairs if we make the small models, and we don't. We get in the sheet and plate steel and the channel and I-beam steel to build the masts, and we cut the steel, we bend the steel, we weld it, paint, do final assembly. When we think about a forklift, you see them in many places that you go. Forklift has touched 90% of everything we'll come into contact with today. And we hope that it was one of our forklifts. So we're owned by Toyota Industries, and we are up in Green, New York. next year, we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary. And we have about 2,000 employees here in Greene. So our corporate offices are here and our largest manufacturing facility. We also have manufacturing in a plant in Muscatine, Iowa, and they have about 400 out in Muscatine. So it's great to be with you today. I'm joined by Lee Moxley, one of our manufacturing managers, and Lee is the manager of our first shift in fabrication and our transmission drive unit assembly. So I'm pleased to have Lee with me also today.
Morning, guys.
Thank you. And our first question that came through, and Lee, maybe I'll turn it right over to you. What is your least favorite thing and what is your most favorite thing about Workday Set?
So my least favorite thing, I'll start with that. It's actually really hard because there's not much that I really dislike about what I do in manufacturing. So I guess we'll go with my favorite. My favorite thing is being able to work with your hands and be able to take that raw steel that John was talking about. So it's a 5x10 sheet of steel, or it's an I-beam, and in 3 days, it turns into a fork truck going through all the processes. So I think it's really, really cool to be able to take something and just see it develop and build and add your own tweak to it through some of our Kaizen processes and things to better our product, which doesn't only better it for ourselves, but better it for our customers. And at the end of the day, especially during this pandemic, it's been really, really cool to know that a fork truck's needed in almost everything that you guys are buying on Amazon, or if you go to the hospital, they're all getting delivered by Raymond fork trucks, Crown fork trucks, a fork truck in general. It's a great business and a great thing to be in right now, and pretty much the sky's the limit. Least favorite thing about manufacturing right now is just we are lacking people. That's probably the hardest part of my job as a manager. We're just lacking people. We need people to come in and that want to come every day and be punctual and be part of something bigger that's going to help the greater good, regardless of how small the job is. It is something that's built to a bigger process. And like I said, we help a lot of people just by creating trucks every day and being able to deliver those things that you really like to get.
Thanks, Lee. Does anyone else want to talk about their favorite and or least favorite parts of their job?
I guess I could. So my favorite part would be I'm a hands-on manager. So I work with my staff and I help set the machines up and I help with the process engineering. And so I get to do the daily tasks alongside with the staff. And also my least favorite thing is finding qualified people that want to do the work. I need CNC operators, programmers, material handlers, and we also have a large need for assembly people here in our facility as well.
Well, this next question may help motivate some students to go into these jobs in the next couple of years. This is a great question from Chad. He wants to know why you decided to go into this job or into this career. Anyone want to share what motivated them to get into manufacturing?
Sure, I can share a little bit. So, I mean, I'm like you guys, I didn't really know much about manufacturing until I was in college when I got an industrial engineering degree. So after getting that and realizing, some options of like a desk job, something in an office versus manufacturing where it's hands-on, you're on your feet, I kind of geared more towards manufacturing because I like the fast-pacedness. I like having a mix of, an office job and also being on the floor and on your feet as a supervisor. So I think it's a good mix of, being active and not in a sedentary job. And there's always something new to do, which is exciting.
Me, just add something too with me. When I came out of college, I hit a fork in the road immediately. I was either offered to go down the think tank avenue or the hands-on production avenue. And I chose the production avenue because I liked working with all sorts of different people. I like the idea of making something. At the end of the day, you could see something that you worked on or you designed or you helped make or ship or something. It just appealed to me. And then for my whole career, I went from, prototype work to production work to actually owning my own company for a while, doing aftermarket work and having a crew at my disposal with go around the country and work on projects for customers and see their reactions when we fix something for them and they were happy, which is, excuse me, which is something that I think is really valuable. And this is what I want to instill in my class is, you have that reward, that gratification to see you've done something. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
So I was a BOCES student in many years ago. And after graduation, I went to work in a machine shop that made turbine blades in Ithaca, New York. And I was an entry-level person in there. And through 22 years at that factory, I worked my way all the way up to the plant manager's position. And that is the greatest thing about manufacturing. If you want to apply yourself, if you want to learn new things, and you want to show that you can contribute, you can take your career as far as you want to take it.
Maureen, you're on mute. Maureen, you're on mute.
Thanks, John. I was just saying, it's really great to hear from Kevin that there's these opportunities, right? You can really work your way up from some of these entry-level positions that are in demand. And so I'm wondering for some of our supervisors here, what is it that you're looking for the entry-level positions? What makes someone a qualified, excellent candidate?
Just to kind of build off what Lee said earlier, honestly, the first step is showing up to work on time and applying yourself. In today's day and age, honestly, if you come to work, show up to work every day on time, you do what you're asked with a good work ethic, you'll be in that position that Kevin's in, that he was just talking about. You can really set yourself apart by that. It doesn't take, 3 degrees and 18 years of work experience to get a job in manufacturing now. I think all the panelists here do on-the-job training, something that you don't see in other industries as much. So there's definitely an opportunity to kind of step in just with a good work ethic and a good, good characteristics about yourself.
Thanks, Jake. Garvey, I saw you went off mute too. Did you want to add to that?
I was going to kind of echo the same thought there. I think a lot of people might think that you need to come into a job with a ton of history and experience and stuff. But like, everyone's been saying, if you come in with a good work ethic and you're willing to learn and take feedback and, continue to improve, you can make a name for yourself and do awesome. So obviously we like to see people that have a little bit of experience, but so for us, that might mean someone who has soldered electrical components before, or even something as simple as tinkered around with your car or something like that, if you have some type of hobbies like that. But like everyone's saying, just a little bit of work ethic and committing yourself to doing a good job going to take you a long way in manufacturing.
Thank you.
Just to add to what,
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to add to what Garvey and I think Jake had said. One thing that, we do look for in interviews is just in general, a positive attitude and an interest in wanting to work at BAE or in manufacturing. We have hired people sometimes just out of high school or, with little experience, but, if there's a positive attitude and personalities click, then we can pretty much make anything happen and train people to what we need them to do.
Well, speaking of a positive attitude, the next question we had, and he's crushing it with the questions here, Chad, is, are you happy with your job? Joy, we haven't heard from you, and you get to do something really cool, right? Your products can save lives. So are you happy doing that?
I certainly am. Working at Buckingham is great. I manage 60 people, and I have because I came from the floor. You know, I work my way up. And with my positive attitude towards my employees, I get the positive attitude back. So that really helps a lot. It's, they're great with their attitudes and everything.
Thanks, Joy. And I'm hearing lots of folks. By a show of hands of our panelists, how many of you started on the floor? Yeah, someone from everywhere almost. Awesome. And so what does everyone else think? Are you guys happy with your jobs?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love being with the kids. I love working with the kids and having this opportunity. This is the most fun I've had in years.
I don't think you can stay at a position unless you're really happy with a job. I think a lot of these people, especially the ones that started on the floor and started working their way up, it shows the loyalty of the company and how happy you are actually doing what you're doing, because you're learning, you're growing. And honestly, like Jake and everyone else has already said, if you're willing to come here with a good attitude, the sky's the limit as far as you want to take it. If you don't want to go to college right out of the high school, don't. Come to Raymond's, come to Buckingham. Some places like Raymond's have really good tuition aid and stuff like that. If you choose what you want to do and say you want to go to school, Raymond's will pay for it. There's stuff like that like there's huge benefits. So don't rush it. Take your time and enjoy the process, because the process is what's going to make or break you and either make you love your job or make you hate it.
Well, the next question that came through, again, Chad is crushing it with the questions. Keep the questions coming, students. He wants to know, if you were not doing what you're doing now, what would you do instead? And I wonder, Doug, we haven't heard from you, and I know you have had a million careers. So what kind of drove you into education, and what were all the other things you did before, maybe?
34 inches. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the mic went back on. Yeah, I've been in a lot of different industries. I worked in electronics. I worked in manufacturing around the world. Develop facilities, here in this country and Europe and in Asia. And it's amazing to see that, if I were to go out and do something different, I probably wouldn't have done anything different, because the experiences of being able to travel the world and actually build stuff with all different cultures and people. I mean, it's a great experience to feel, you're not just sitting in the area, or most of the kids, you've grown up in this little area and it's like a box. And sometimes you want to just get away from that box. And manufacturing can give you that opportunity, especially in the bigger companies, or just in your own, just having those skills to go out and actually make things with your hands and do things of that nature. That's why, I'm actually now back into education, because, after 30 years of doing all those different things, I wanted to bring a little of that back to folks that can see that if you want to do these things, you can do them anywhere in the world. And, if companies let you do those, you can always move from the floors up to maybe a management position or a project level, or maybe run a whole project that may span more than just, our little area. I mean, a lot of these manufacturing folks, a lot of these parts and pieces come from all over the world. So you get the opportunity to maybe go over and see some of that stuff. So those are kind of the things I would do. If I wasn't doing this, I don't think I could find a better way of doing my career, because the manufacturing was that good to me.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Maureen, I would just like to add a couple things. I certainly second what everyone has said, but a lot of times we tend to hear, I know all of us on the panel have heard from students, there's no good jobs here in the area. You have to leave the area in order to get good jobs. And that certainly is not true. If you look
saying at any point within 30
panelists
seconds
that are here with us today from the companies that they represent, these are their industry, and they're right here in the southern tier. And I think enough good things can't be said. So there are great opportunities here. Build your knowledge, skills, and abilities, and then move to, if you want to leave the area at some point, you can take those knowledge, skills, and abilities, like Doug said, and you can go go to another area if that's what you choose to do at some point. But don't get caught up in the negativity that there are not good jobs here in the area. There are plenty of great jobs here in the area with wonderful companies. So just keep that in mind as you continue throughout your school and then eventually get into your career. There are very good jobs here in the area.
Thank you. And so our 8th graders are thinking they're in 8th grade, they're young, they're trying to figure out what they want to do, and they want to hear from you guys. When you were younger, I know Laura said she didn't even know about manufacturing. What were some of the things you guys were thinking?
So I remember when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be a travel agent because I like to travel. It's kind of an obsolete job now with Google, and you can pretty much figure out anything yourself. But I feel like a lot of the jobs that I wanted to do when I was younger were either based on, you know, what my parents did or like what, you know, was around me at the time. So my dad was an engineer, my mom was a secretary. So, you know, I remember in elementary school, I was like, oh, I want to be a secretary. And then as I grew up, I was like, maybe I could be an engineer. So I think just typically what I wanted to do was things that were around me at the time. And then, like I said, in college, I, you know, was open to a lot more career choices and options that, you know, I didn't get in high school. So they kind of make it tough to decide, you know, when you're 18 years old and you have all these options of what to do. So just getting it started early in 8th grade is definitely a good thing. See what kind of sparks your interest.
Thank you. And I'm loving this next question, right? Because we want to think about the living we're making. And so one of our students asked if folks in manufacturing, if you want to share about your salaries, are we making good money? Are you able to have kind of the life you wanted?
Short answer, yes. Yeah. No, there's so many various things you can do. There's different salaries to do them, but I think Maureen, you mentioned some stats in the beginning. Nobody's going to starve being a manufacturing person. You're going to make a decent salary, and you're going to be able to raise a family and do things you want to do, and it'll all be there.
And John, I know you and I have talked about more than just salary. What are some of the other benefits that we can highlight for our guests today?
Yeah, I think, Maureen, people certainly can make a very good living in manufacturing. Whether it's entry level, if you want to continue to expand your skills, go back to school, but maybe learn to do something else. Maybe you start manufacturing, you want to go into accounting or engineering or some other career field. Those opportunities are out there. I think when you get in with larger companies have good benefits, like we've mentioned, tuition assistance. We have very good benefits as you continue throughout your career. Benefits will become very important to you. But immediate benefits such as profit sharing, those type things are very important. 401ks, so you can continue to save and hopefully at some point retire and enjoy your retirement. So as you go through, most of the companies here on the panel offer very, very good benefits and great opportunities to grow within their organizations. Even if you find you want to try to do some different things, we're very open to that, and we do promote from within for the majority of our positions.
We've got another question on salary, and this one's kind of more about the values. And so Chad's got all the questions, he's doing great. And he wants to know if the amount of money matters, or is it really loving what you do, or maybe a little bit of both?
Chad, that's a little bit of both, man. Unfortunately, it takes money in order to do some of the things you like to do. So that means you're going to have to work, you're going to have to do something. And if you can find a job that you truly like, waking up every day in the morning and coming in, being here 8 to 10 hours a day, some weekends, then you might as well do it and enjoy it while you can. Again, I'd love to say, honestly, my dream job, if I got offered a wrestling coach job somewheres, I'd be gone. And that doesn't matter the money on it, but it has to be enough to where I could support myself and my family, and or at least have something. And hopefully my wife can pull up something else. But we'll go down that road if it ever presents itself. But again, it takes money in order to do the things you want to do. So having a job's important for that.
Can I just add to what John and Lee just said? So money, taking the psychology side, money is a satisfier. It's not a motivator. I've worked for companies where they thought it was different and they'd throw money at things and nobody was motivated because they were missing the satisfier part of it. But they were missing the motivator part is when you feel, like Lee was saying, you feel like you've done a good job. You know you've done a good job. Your boss recognizes that. People around you recognize that. That makes the job fun. And that's what makes people stay at jobs, is not how much money is thrown at it. Because I can tell you from experience, that doesn't, you know, if something is bad, if something is wrong, that's not going to fix it. So that's what I teach the students is you have to really like or love what you're doing. You know, like or love, somewhere in that range. You know, you don't want to hate what you're doing, but you want to like or love what you're doing, that will satisfy you.
Thank you. And we're getting near, we've got about 20 minutes left, but we've got a big panel. And so I'd actually love to even kind of turn things over to our panelists. You know, maybe some of our final questions will be coming through here, but just let everyone have a kind of a chance. I think we've really highlighted this career field, answered some great questions. If you guys can give our 8th graders some advice, what is it that you would tell an 8th grader in terms of starting to set up the pathway? And I'll kind of go through and let everyone answer that. And I think we'll finish with our education folks and ask them to give a little bit more about entrance into their programs. So let's start with Joy. Joy, what advice would you give someone who's kind of interested in exploring more?
The advice I would give to an 8th grader looking into the future, it is kind of hard because I can remember, you know, being in 8th grade and like almost what Laura said, my dad was an engineer, you know, so that's what I was thinking. I was going to go to college and be an engineer and, you know, and I ended up going into manufacturing and I do not regret it whatsoever. It's all in your positive attitude and how you feel to go forward. If you're positive and you go to a workplace, you know, you'll go far. You can go far in manufacturing. I mean, I'm proof. I did it. Started from the floor and went all the way to management because, you know, I had that strive to do everything.
Thank you, Joy. Next up, I'm going to turn it over to John.
I think I would really recommend, as you continue throughout your middle and high school, if you get an opportunity to visit any manufacturing plants, you know, here in the area or wherever it may be, take a look at that because manufacturing has changed so much. Manufacturing's so modern. It's not that kind of some people have in their mind that manufacturing's very dirty. And it's not that way. So I would encourage you to, if you get an opportunity to go in and visit any of the organizations, be they on this panel or other organizations, larger companies, get a real good look at what's going on in manufacturing. And there are just some great positions. And again, we're talking about this, a great career to start out in, and you can take your career wherever you'd like to go. But start doing something, even if it's at the base level, the entry level, and then work from there. Find something you like to do. We've talked about that, and then go ahead and do it and try doing some different things. And I think you'll find you will come across something that you truly enjoy and like to do.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over next to Jake.
Yeah, my bit of advice for 8th graders would just be to try a little bit of everything, whether it's just in school and classes, because you're going to have a lot of classes coming up throughout high school. Don't write anything off, whether it's home economics or shop class or something like that, or science or math. Try to find something you're good at too, because oftentimes what you're good at becomes your passion. So if you can narrow in on that and work towards that in the future, you'll kind of end up where you're supposed to be. But I agree 100% with what John's saying. If you guys, you know, even if you're picking up a part-time job somewhere, you start to realize, you know, what you're good at in the workforce, and, you know, making a little bit of money is good. So.
Thank you. I'll turn it over next to Laura.
So similar to what Jake was saying, you know, with taking electives and classes, just to figure out what you like. I mean, I know in high school I took some electives on like astronomy. I think there was some engineering electives and like earth science, just things that kind of become like who you are and all these experiences built together. And then finally light bulb clicks on what you want to do. And if that's manufacturing, that's great. If it's something else, I mean, that's great. So I would say just, just take every opportunity you get, like, attending this panel is a good one. If there's other, Q&A sessions and other things that, your school offers, just to be involved and just to keep at it.
Thank you. Kevin? You're on mute, Kevin.
Sorry. So I would say, an open mind, a positive attitude, the willingness to try new things. Yet don't be afraid if somebody asks you to do something new, to go in and do the best you can to do it. It's all about gaining experience. The more experience you gain, the more farther you can take your career. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. How about Garvey?
Yeah, so I'll echo what some of the folks here have said, but also I think along with trying to go visit places and learning new things, ask a lot of questions and don't be afraid to talk to new people, because you might have heard it before. It's got a lot of truth to it, but knowing people helps you get a lot of different jobs, and it also helps open doors and kind of open your mindset to new things. So you don't really know about an industry or a career until you start asking questions. And meeting new people and asking those questions is going to help figure out what you like to do, what you want to do, and it might present an opportunity that you've never even thought of before. So just encourage you to ask a lot of questions and try and talk to new people.
Thank you.
I would say, kind of go with what everyone else said. Experience as much as you can. Take your time, enjoy it. But one thing I don't think we do very well, because there is a lot of twists and turns during that path to where you're going to go, build a support system, whether it's your family, whether it's a counselor, a teacher, your friend's mom, dad. It doesn't really matter who it is, as long as you have someone there that when times do get tough, you can bounce ideas off to them. They can be the ones there that will help pull you up and keep you moving, because there is times that aren't going to be great in the process, and you need to have that support system there to keep you focused and going where you want to go.
Lee, you just hit on two more questions that actually came through the chat as we were going through. So before I turn it over to our folks from BOCES and Broome, I just want to quickly ask our panelists, speaking of support systems, do your family support you in your career choices in manufacturing? You can just nod your head if they do. Lots of yeses.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add something. I forget who it was, but someone was talking about how sometimes manufacturing can be perceived as dirty, or but I think for all of the companies that are here, that's not the case. I mean, especially if you're in electronics, like BAE is, we have temperature and humidity controls, and everything's all clean, and we have to take care of the areas that we work in. There's not necessarily as many loud noises here, so it's definitely a nice environment to work in that isn't necessarily looked down upon.
Thanks, Laura. And the last question, like Lee said, every day is not always perfect, right? So within your jobs, do you ever hate your jobs, was the last question. We all do, right? Every now and then there's something we don't like. Anyone want to expand a little bit on maybe one of the aspects that's not their favorite?
Yeah, there's always parts of a job that you're not going to like. I mean, that's kind of a given. And from the human resource manager perspective, it's when you have to discipline employees or terminate employees. I would say that's one of the toughest, more so, the terminations. But hopefully that doesn't happen much. And again, with good management, good leadership, people can continue on a very good path when they join an organization. But that would probably be the one thing that I would say is part of my job that is not fun.
Thank you. Well, I know I'm motivated. So if I want to go back to school, I want to go to BOCES. James, how do I get into BOCES, and what advice do you have for our 8th graders about entering your programs?
Okay, well, probably the foremost thing is if they decided they want to come into the class, or if their parents decided, then first step, really, they should talk to their counselor at their local district and make the arrangements there, because that's really how it starts. As much as I'd like to go grab kids out of school and bring them up here, I can't do that. So it has to start with the parent, student, and the counselor at that local school, and then come to us that way. I've had this conversation with lots of kids. I've told them that. I've told their parents that too, is, and it really starts with them. So that's the first step. And but to get to that step, if they're slightly interested or mildly interested or extremely interested, they need to kind of sort that out and figure that out, because I think even a student who's mildly interested or looks at it and says, oh, this is cool. And by the way, I have an open door policy. So anybody that wants to come in with their parents can, and just we'll make arrangements to have them come in, and they just have to sign in, come in the building, and they can come down here and I will show them everything, answer every question they want to ask. But when they're kind of undecided like that, that's a good time for them to come into maybe a visitation or a open house, or just come on their own. Just call me. I can get my contact information. Maureen, I think you may have that already. That can get distributed out, and people can call, and their parents or the students can make arrangements, and they can bring their parents with them and just come in, and I will show you around. I will show you some of the other areas in the building, that the other CTE areas, because maybe they're undecided between construction and manufacturing or something like that. So, but I would say at 8th grade level, you guys are at that perfect spot right now to start thinking about this. It's not too soon, because that 4 years are going to go by quickly. You're going to be, starting to get committed to something for graduation. And so now is a good time to look at this. So that's what I would suggest. That's the process. Talk with your parents, go to your counselor, and have your counselor start making the arrangements to get you enrolled here. That's the simplest thing.
Thank you. All right, Doug, they've graduated. Now they want to go on to SUNY Broom's program. What do they do?
Oh, well, there's actually two paths. The first one is I'm going to mimic a couple of things. The 8th graders, you got to try all different things. And one of the big things that I suggest is as summers come along and as programs come along, take some of the events that are local to the community. And, there's always some kind of STEM event around, and try the different items. Come to the college here and walk around with some of the activities that we have through the summertime and sometimes in the fall times, to try those different opportunities, because that's the hardest part that we see to get. You can come into the school, you can apply to the college after you've graduated and you have some skills, or you're trying to think you're going down this path. But realistically, it's hard for people to make those choices at your ages. And the best way I can say is try the experiences, try the different things that are out there. You never know. We have seen people come in and want to be, working in the nursing arena, and then all of a sudden they come over to manufacturing and they love manufacturing instead. We don't know. So just make sure you try all the different experiences. And once you come to the area and look at those different things that are here, because they're all in one stop. We can come up to SUNY Broom during our events or open houses, and you can get to see all the different fields that are here. And we have the whole gamut of them. So I think that's the biggest thing for you folks to take a look at is, if you want to stay local to the community and you want to try different things, this is the great spot to start, because when, maybe the first year you go into maybe a sciences or something, and then you don't like it as much, you can come down to one of the technologies programs, or you can change to nursing, or you can change to teaching, or any of those activities, because as you learn what you like, you're going to learn the different things that may be applicable to you. But at your age, and you're going to be hit with a lot of things over the next 4 years, my biggest suggestion is take the time to go out and try the different activities, even if at the schools. I think there was somebody mentioned home economics. Try the different things. It's okay if you don't like them, and see if you can find what you like. Because if you have the passion and you like what you see, can you come to a 2-year school like us in Broome, you're going to really enjoy the experience a lot better, and you're going to have a good career in manufacturing. That is for sure if you choose the manufacturing program.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much to all of our panelists for your time and expertise and helping just to give some more insight about all the opportunities in manufacturing. Just to kind of sum up, what are some of the things that I took away from today, not knowing much about manufacturing, is that you get to work with some state-of-the-art technology, it sounds like. You really get to be hands-on and contribute towards developing something, which is really cool. I'm also hearing a lot about the different advancement opportunities that you have too. And so really encouraging our students to take everyone's advice, try a little bit of everything, explore, get opportunities. Things are starting to open back up again, take advantage of field trips and tours, whether it be the college campuses to check out the technologies or to some of the plants. You guys have a lot of really great opportunities here in our community, so take advantage of that. Are there any final questions that any of our students have for today? You guys have been so active, it's so exciting. All right, not seeing any, I'm going to turn it over. Matt, I know you have a slide, I believe, to share to kind of wrap things up for students, to show them some of the websites they can go to for more information. This is our final Spark panel. Usually at the end, I get to announce our next panel and tell students we'll see them again soon. But just a special thanks to Matt and Gina for making these sessions possible, for helping with the Q&A. Thank you again to all of our panelists for joining today. But the biggest thanks is to our students for really making the most of everyone's time to be here and really help highlight these careers and the pathways for you guys to get there. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maureen.